Will now come to order. This hearing of the Subcommittee of State Department and USAID Management, International Operations and Bilateral International Development, only in Washington can you have a title that is that long, is entitled A Review of the FY 2017 State Department and USAID Budget Request. I'd like to begin by welcoming our witnesses, Mr. Pitkin, Mr. Sastry, and Mr. Napoli. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. I talked to your boss yesterday. I'm anxious to get a lot of your testimony in the record before, I think Undersecretary Higginbotham is to be before the full committee next week. So we'll try not to be redundant. We've looked at some of the questions the ranking member and I have looked at these to be sure that we'll try not to do that for the sake of your time and hers as well. We're here to discuss the International Affairs Budget, State Department that is, request for fiscal year 2017, which includes our State Department, USAID, and other funding for diplomatic engagement and foreign assistance. Today is intended to be a deep dive into the budget request with those who've come up with the budget at State and USAID. I personally serve on both the Foreign Relations Committee and the Budget Committee, which I believe gives me a unique understanding, and as does the ranking member, Senator Kane. I believe that gives us a unique understanding of how our global security crisis and the fiscal crisis are actually intertwined. Given our current fiscal situation, every dollar we spend on state and USAID, if you look at it that way, is basically borrowed, which makes it even more important that we understand the request. With that said, the United States is and should continue to be the most philanthropic nation in the history of the world. We have no shortage of problems in the world that require American leadership. As this administration plans to draw down American forces in Afghanistan, as we continue to have lower troop levels in Iraq, the cost of the State Department maintaining a presence in these difficult, high-threat environments increase. Today, I'd like to cover a number of issues, including long-term budget trends, the issue of OCO funding, the State Department and USAID's plans to combat the Zika virus, how monitoring and evaluation results are integrated into budget decisions, and how this budget would address the growing migration crisis in Europe, to name just a few. Also, as follow-up questions on how some of the USAID money has been used in the past in places like Haiti, for example. We certainly have a lot of ground to cover, so with that, let me turn it to our ranking member, Senator Tim Kaine.